Hey, I haven't been updated in a couple of weeks, and it's primarily because I haven't done like any serious concrete features. Well, I have, but we'll get to that. I've been playing Persona and Prey. I finished those up, but I did spend a lot of time prototyping stuff like that, trying to get the visual look and feel of stuff right. So there hasn't been a ton to show off, but I do have a couple of things to show off this week. So first of all, this is like kind of the starting visual look that I've developed. I went through a whole bunch of stuff, including single color areas again, like the blue area, if you watch one of the previous videos, similar to that, but it just was not working. So I decided to actually try to texture stuff, actually make stuff look kind of pretty. It doesn't have to look amazing, but this is pretty quick to develop. It's pretty easy to select multiple faces and apply textures. But anyway, so I created this, I actually modeled this airlock door myself. And obviously it doesn't look super great, but it's not terrible. And then we've got this little entrance here, which gives you an idea of what these rooms are going to look like. Yeah, and then here you've got the airlock again. If I come close to it, it'll open up. I might make this a little bit faster so that you don't have to wait quite as long. Okay, so now on to the actual features. So if we teleport back to here, I've updated Dash just a little bit so that it's a little bit faster. It's more like Tracer's Dash in Overwatch. I feel like this just feels better overall. And then the big feature that I've added over the last couple of weeks, which I just had this like spur of inspiration, is wall running. So first of all, the lighting is all messed up. Let me restart so that I can finish baking real quick. Okay, I think it finished. So if I go back to here, I've created this like sort of simple wall running course, but it works very much like Titanfall. You jump, you basically stick to the wall and run alongside it. And it synergizes really well with the rest of the abilities if you have them. I haven't actually decided what order you're going to get this, whether it's late or early, but I assume it's going to be late. But it feels awesome to use because you end up moving faster. Whoops. You end up moving faster. It gives you control of being able to explore like vertical environments and big long rooms potentially. But yeah, like I said, it feels really great to use, especially with the glide upgrade and the double jump and all that. Your jumps and your dashes don't reset in air, so you still, it's still not super easy. I am going to probably make it a little bit more limited because right now you can just do this. Oh, that's a little bit weird. Sometimes it doesn't give you upwards lift, but you can essentially keep dashing on the same exact wall to infinitely gain height. And I don't know if I want that or not yet. I'll probably make it so that you have to continuously switch faces for it to work. So you'd have to switch to like a face right here or a different side of this right here. I haven't really decided yet or figured that out. So a big part of what I spent my time on was actually starting to design all the first areas and stuff like that. And one thing that I keep going through is, or the thought that keeps repeating in my head is that the Metroid Prime designers, when they were first converting a 2D Metroid to a 3D Metroid with Prime, probably went through the exact same things that I'm going through over and over again. In fact, I keep being like, wow, I am 100% sure the Metroid Prime guys tried to do this and were like, wait, this doesn't work in 3D. And the most recent example I can think of is, you know how they have the vertical shafts in Metroid, where it's just like a big giant vertical shaft with a bunch of platforms and maybe some enemies, maybe not, and with like, you know, 4 or 5 different branching paths from there. Well, that does not translate at all to 3D. I actually tried doing it. I tried doing it a bunch of different ways, but in the end, you can't jump very high, unlike the actual 2D Metroid, so without making it feel floaty. So it ends up being like you're not climbing fast enough because you can only jump this high, so platforms have to be like really spaced out, and it just feels really shitty. So then, of course, it comes down to like, well, if I can't have extreme vertical areas or like big vertical rooms and not like wide rooms, then I have to make exploration more interesting by like making it more realistic and making the environment more realistic. Either that, or I have to make it way more combat focused and make it like arena focused. So have rooms similar to this and then just spawn enemies in them. But I don't want to do that. And I'm sure that the Metroid Prime guys basically came to the same conclusion. The problem is I'm not a modeler. So creating interesting areas to explore, well, not interesting areas to explore, but interesting environments is really tough. So Metroid Prime, if you look at the gameplay in that game, it's got like a ton of different individually modeled models. Their environments are super detailed. They've got outdoor environments and indoor environments, and they've got wires hanging down and all kinds of complicated geometry. And that took a team of like, 100 people to make. I'm on my own, and I somehow have to replicate somewhat interesting gameplay without making it, just turning it into, what's that? Rogue light shooter that was on Steam. Like, it was a couple of years ago. It got kicked off Steam. I can't remember what it was called, but it was also first person, and it was randomly generated, and it was fun. It's just you didn't really get new abilities to help you progress. It was more like Binding of Isaac. Anyway, I don't want to do something like that. I definitely want to create like handcrafted environments. So I think that what I'm going to have to do is compromise on all of this and make rooms really simple, like this one, and probably not include many props. And I think the fun will come with discovering new abilities and powering your character up, and not so much telling a story through the environment like Metroid Prime did, where you found like a bunch of audio log or written logs, which was great because it told its own story. But I can't really do that here because I can't make the environment convincing enough to the player. So this week I'm going to start actually building out all the levels. And as I do that, I'm going to create and model more enemies, because right now I have a lot of very aggressive enemies, and I don't have a lot of stuff that feels like a creature or a machine that would belong where my setting is. So Metroid Prime had a lot of like natural creatures that existed on those planets that weren't necessarily hostile to your player. I mean, they might hurt you if you touch them, but they didn't attack you. Same with Metroid. They had the little spiky crawler guys that crawled over stuff, and they didn't attack you, but if you touch them, yeah. So I need stuff similar to that. I have a bunch of ideas. I've gotten a little bit better at Blender, so I can actually create some okay stuff. Don't be expecting very much, but whatever. So that's my plan for this week, is just to create a whole bunch of stuff for the first level, or the first serious playable area where you actually have a gun. My buddy that's doing sounds just sent me a whole bunch of charging sounds for the gun and shooting sounds, so I'm going to be implementing that as well. And I really want to, within the next couple of weeks, finish up an area, and that includes potentially a boss fight too. So we'll see how that goes. Until next time, hopefully next week, I'll do another update video. Someone requested that actually I do more, I don't know, making videos, or basically videos where it shows the game development process, where I code, model, do all that stuff. And if there's more interest, I'll definitely consider doing that. But that's kind of a pain in the ass because I usually work by setting aside like an hour here, a couple hours there, because I do have a kind of a hectic work day. So if there's a lot of interest, I might do like a live stream and then save the videos somewhere so people can watch them. Yeah, let me know what you think. Until next time.